Cisco just announced a new CCNA blueprint, version 1.1. In this video, I'll give you all the highlights, a few deletions from the blueprint, as well as several new additions. In this video, I'm going to focus on the exam topics. Hang around till the end though, and I'll tell you about our major changes to the books. Yes, we are coming out with new editions of the CCNA Cert Guides in the next couple of months. All right, blueprint time. Before diving into the specifics, let me put a little context on the big story. So looking backwards, June 2019 is the most recent time Cisco announced a CCNA blueprint update. That was at Cisco Live that year, Cisco Live in the US, and the exam released in February of 2020. Here we fast forward to April 2024. They announced the blueprint in April, and they announced that in August the exam should be available. So that means from exam date to exam date, the dates the exam cutover happens, that's about 4.5 years. And long-term average over the last 20 years or so, it's been about 4 years for that amount of time. So it's just maybe a little bit longer than average this time, almost 5 years between blueprint announcements. Now there's a related and often not noticed fact that's behind the scenes, is that there was actually an interim silent update in between there. So if you look at those blueprint dates that I mentioned, those were the official announcements with a official update to the blueprint document, but Cisco made some updates to the version 1.0 blueprint back in late 2022, and they changed wording of a bunch of the exam topics. Honestly, a lot of them, the wording changes really didn't affect the meaning, but a few of the wording changes did. So for instance, for the books, we added some PDF downloads where you could have more material on the updates to those topics. All right, so why do I tell you that here? Any of the information that you find about this update is going to be comparing this new blueprint for version 1.1 and the now available version 1.0 blueprint document that was slightly updated, year and a half ago in late 2022. In my next video, I'm going to get into more detail about what happened in that as well, because guess what? We're going to put that material in the new editions of the books. All right, so stay tuned for that. The rest of this is pretty straightforward. I'll start with things that are removed from the blueprint with this announced change. Exam topic 11E, there's the original wording in version 1.0, and the new blueprint removes the phrase Cisco DNA Center and WLC. WLC stands for Wireless LAN Controller. So is this a removal for real? Well, it's certainly a removal of wording. Now, if you break down the two things that were removed, Wireless LAN Controller, in my opinion, there's zero change in what you need to know. You still need to know Wireless LAN Controller because there's another exam topic that says, hey, you need to be able to configure from the GUI wireless LAN things, and you do that from the Wireless LAN Controller. So I think that's a no change, wording change. Now, the removal of Cisco DNA Center is interesting in that there's no other reference in the entire blueprint to specific skills or features of a specific SDN controller. Now, if you're going to have exam topics that talk about that generically, which the blueprint does have, but no specific product mentions, which this removal now leaves us with no specific products, the question is, well, what products might you use or think about or study in order to understand the topic? And the obvious answer is, you guessed it, Cisco DNA Center, which Cisco is in the middle of rebranding to Cisco Catalyst Center, by the way. So I think from a practical point of view, you're still going to want to know things about it, but who knows, maybe they'll test differently about it because they've removed the words from the exam topic list. So I don't think that's a big change, and it at least if you're studying for 1.0, there's nothing new you have to learn with this removal. All right, the second of three removals, there's an exam topic 6.4, and it's out of here, deleted from the new blueprint. So the particulars of comparing, say, Cisco Prime infrastructure and the features of an SNMP manager with specifically Cisco DNA Center. Here was the other mention of the product Cisco DNA Center removed from the blueprint, so there are no mentions of that product in the new blueprint, by the way. So that's pretty significant in terms of approach that Cisco takes. So maybe some particulars and details about comparing those. You're no longer on the hook for knowing that for testing, at least. Is it good to know? Sure, but not for testing. All right, last one. There's an exam topic in the version 1.0 blueprint that mentions Puppet, Chef, and Ansible. Well, Ansible sticks around and we pick up Terraform, but we lose Puppet and Chef. So the details of Puppet and Chef, of which the depth was not much, you don't have to know those, but you pick up a little bit on Terraform. So it's probably a fair trade, and honestly, it's a great change. Nobody really uses Puppet and Chef a lot for network automation for Cisco devices anyway, and you will end up bumping into Terraform. So it's a very positive change, in my opinion. There's only one exam topic change that I would score as a neutral change. Here's the old wording. Notice at the end it says levels. And guess what? Those are severity levels. So they changed the phrasing to say severity levels. In my opinion, it doesn't add or remove any content from what you need to know. Just a wording change. So I'll leave it at that. This is what you've been waiting for, right? Is what did they add that I have to go learn if I pass the new blueprint, right? So here we go. First off, the biggest single new addition is this new exam topic 25D. You have to be able to identify things about 4 additional spanning tree protocol features, easily the largest by volume of things we've written for the new editions of the books. So it's about a chapter's worth of material that I've added for these 4 topics: root guard, loop guard, BPDU filter, and BPDU guard. Yes, easy for me to say. All right, next up, there's some wording here that changes. So let me show you the wording first. So the nouns are AP and WLC, and those change to network device. Now what does that mean? Instead of just the wireless devices, now it extends to all the devices that get mentioned in CCNA. So what's this about? It's about management access. How do you telnet into it, SSH into it, connect with a web browser with HTTP or HTTPS, and so on. And then they tacked on to the end of this, and cloud managed. So how do I access a cloud managed device? And is it just for cloud managed devices, or is it for devices that run in the cloud? So a small expansion of the idea of what does CCNA include in the cloud. All right, so that's another change. Next up, AI makes it to CCNA. They added one exam topic on it. They took the deleted 6.4 text and used the same number, 6.4. So just don't let that confuse you. There was a 6.4, different topic. There's a new 6.4. Here it is, explain AI, generative and predictive and machine learning in network operations. So it's basically AI 101 kind of depth concept only. Shouldn't be too hard. The kind of thing that you could probably get from reading a 1 or 2 page article anywhere online. All right, next up. Here's the old exam topic. It gets expanded with one additional phrase. It's about REST and RESTful APIs. And the added phrase is authentication types. And the verb there is describe. So can you describe authentication for REST APIs and the different authentication types? So that's the idea behind this new exam topic. So not a lot of concept, but it is an expansion there. And then finally, you've seen this before a few minutes ago in the video, but we deleted Puppet and Chef, but Cisco then added Terraform to the mix with their changes here. As you can see, that's a relatively minor update, so there's not a lot to talk about there. But let's talk about some dates. Here in April, when I recorded and released this video, we've got the blueprint. Then out in August, we've got the exam release, as purported by Cisco. In between, we've got some new books coming. As I mentioned, it's a 2-book set, as always, for the CCNA books. Volume 1, the in-stock date in the U.S. is early June, so it's only about 6 weeks from blueprint release till the book will be out, the first book. And then the library, which includes Volume 2, I put July in there just because I'm a little unsure on that date, but it might sneak in. Volume 2 may sneak into late June. So we're talking June, July for in-stock in the U.S. for the books, which is ahead of the exam. The literal date, August 22nd, is what I understood to be the case when I recorded this video, but you should check Cisco's website Speaking of Cisco's website, here's a nice, easy, memorable URL you can use. You should bookmark that. That's where to get all Cisco news about updates and easy to remember, and a similar page at Cisco Press to learn about new book updates. Both of these will have information about this new CCNA version 1.1 blueprint. Now, I promised if you stuck around to the end, I'd tell you a little bit more about the books. The book revision is fairly more significant than just for the exam topic changes for the blueprint. And you might wonder, why is that? So I've made a video about that too. For instance, we have that interim version 1.0 blueprint change that happened in late 2022. I'll talk to you about that. But every time we revise for a new edition, I rescope the exam topics. That is, I think again about what is and isn't implied by the wording of an exam topic. And I may remove things and add things. And I've done that. And I always modernize in certain cases. For instance, iOS changes. There are features that didn't exist before. So it doesn't happen quickly, but remember, it's been almost 5 years between editions. So I'll talk you through that process and give you a few insights into what's changed in the books. I'm actually pretty excited about a lot of the new content that we've got in there that will hopefully help you prepare even better for the exams. So stay tuned for that and watch the channel. Thanks for staying till the end. This is an almost brand new YouTube channel, so please subscribe if you haven't already. Click a bell to be notified. This channel is mostly about CCNA preparation, so on May 1st, I'll start rolling out CCNA content videos along with review videos. So stay tuned for that. Hey, thanks for listening.